Hey you guys, what is up? On a bit of a narrating frenzy, so I do change clothes. Just wanted to mention that in case you were curious. It's just easier for me to put a bunch of videos together and narrate them all, in a fairly short amount of time. It, takes up less of my day, when I am pressed for time with school and stuff. It's also the beginning of the year, so I have a lot less work. And unfortunately, I did leave the chat box out of this video, and I know I did of a previous one, and I think it might actually be a little bit better for watching, but it's also a little more difficult for me narrating, so bear with me. I believe I actually should have cut this part out that I'm narrating right now, that I just realized, because it's discussing the terms of the tournament and just how things are going to progress. This is, for those of you who don't know, Pokemon Dan is a pretty darn popular PokeTuber. He's just about one of the most popular guys that does this kind of show. His is a little bit more formatted like Jaywitz's, but he's a UK player that does some really great stuff, and his channel will be in the D box, or I'll just put a link in a annotation here. But I expect most of you guys already know who he is and subscribe to him because he has way more subscribers than I do. But he decided to host a PlayTCG.me tournament. This is the second year of the tournament. It's the Pokemon Dan's Battle Tower 2 is I guess what we're calling it. But I won the first round of the tournament playing against Rayquaza Eel's deck. It was a really weird set of three where it was a turn 3 donk every single time. I turned 3 donk my opponent, then he had a really good Celestial Roar, and ended up turn 3 donking my lone Terrakion EX, because I couldn't hit an Ultra Ball or another basic Pokemon. And then I turned 3 donked him one more time. So this is my round, or top 16, or top 32 match rather. So this is the second round of the tournament, and I am paired against a Zeals player who actually played another PokeTuber the last round. It was Hydreigon Master 635, who is, another guy who you should check out because, you should always help out the community and stuff. That's good. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to catch her at the Dynamo and, take the turn 2 prize, which I assume is really good, but Mewtwo is actually something I really don't like staring down in the face. So kind of unfortunate in that respect. That he does start with Mewtwo is really one of the bigger threats to this deck just in the early game. I guess I can try and hit it with another Mewtwo back, but if I want to start pump up smashing, which is favorable in a lot of matchups, Mewtwo makes it a little bit hard in the beginning. So he also discards the Zekrom EX, which unfortunate. I would have loved for him to start with that thing because he's kind of a big heavy retreater. It's I think it's a 3 retreat cost Pokemon that doesn't necessarily attack all that quickly, and I can one-shot with Pump Up Smash. But he's got the DCE for me, which makes me a little nervous, that he's going to be able to two-shot me pretty comfortably. He'll do 80 damage this turn, so even with Eviolite, it's not going to make too much of a difference. I'm well aware of this, and he's going to get our Level Ball and a Time-Mo, so not a bad turn for him. I did knock out the 1, which makes me feel a little better. And I'm hoping I can draw another Fighting Energy and just be able to chain my Terrakion EXs. But he's going to drop a Sky Arrow Bridge as well, which doesn't really help me in any way yet. And he's going to put 80 damage on me. So I believe the play, just looking at it now, and I don't exactly remember what happens in this game, I play a random receiver, which I don't like. The thing I should be doing, knowing I already have a Fighting Energy and knowing I'm going to lose this Terrakion EX if he has an energy, which is pretty likely, it's safe to assume, or if I attach an energy, he can use X-Ball, and I want to Pump Up Smash. So knowing this, the play should be to attach the DCE and just give that up. And I do play the Churn, which I'm glad. I didn't remember this. So what I should do is I should attach a DCE and bench the Terrakion and I hold off on the Bouffalant, or no, I do bench Bouffalant. Okay, so it's kind of an interesting play, putting both down. I actually like that it will give me a 2-shot against Mewtwo with the Pump Up Smash and then the Bouffalant with Gold Breaker. However, I guess the thing I wasn't really thinking about in this matchup yet was that he runs Zekrom EX, or not Zekrom EX, regular Zekrom, who actually, if I'm not Pump Up Smashing because of Mewtwo and he can just Bolt Strike me kind of openly, it's really hard for me to deal with that. He actually does a really good job of catching me off guard with which attacker I'm using and which attacker he's using, which is kind of expected with Zeals. Zeals has, energy acceleration that's a lot, more instant than mine. He can drop the turn of and then move energy too, and I guess I can do that in limited amounts with energy switch, but not to the extent that Zeals can by even a little bit. So I do have 90 damage on this Mewtwo. He's going to end me, which really hurts that I lose a DCE and I don't draw another one, and this is going to be a really big deciding factor for this game. Had I hit the DCE, I feel like this game probably would have been a totally different kind of paced game. I also had the Mewtwo, so all I really needed was a DCE to kind of win this thing. But he's going to bench a bunch of things, including a Zekrom, which I'm not really all that excited to see, because Zekrom is still one of the best cards in the game, simply because it's just worth one prize, and really, one prize doesn't seem like that big of a deal anymore. Additionally, when it's eviolated, there are plenty of important Pokemon that with killing it or KOing it. Mewtwo EX with a DCE, if they bolt struck while eviolated, you won't revenge them with a DCE. Darkrai, for example, doesn't one-shot Zekrom if you don't have the eviolate. I guess if you play your damage right, you can maybe do that, but math gets complicated there. And so I am basically facing KO. He's going to attach to his Tornadus EX, and from there he's just going to X-Ball me. By the way, let me know how these narrations are going without the chat box. I realize it's going a little better than I thought it would, but at the same time it's also a little, it's not as good of narration, but it's a little nicer looking, I think, actually, just looking at this. However, where my face goes picture-in-picture wise is kind of awkward, and you might not be able to count my prizes, so maybe I'll come up with some cool little neat thing for that as well. I might put out the top bar too, just make this the entire playfield and nothing else. So let me know your thoughts on all that stuff in the comments down below. That'd be great. So I'm still staring down this Mewtwo, and I decided to promote my Terrakion EX, playing the Switch, which I should have probably just gone with that from the beginning, because that way I could maybe save the Switch. I kind of knew I'd use it this way. And he attaches another DCE, so while I'm having trouble hitting these DCEs, unfortunately he is not. And he's going to catch out this Bouffalant, knowing that, hey, that's the only thing that has energy on the field. And at this point, I'm almost already tempted to scoop. However, I am only just, the Mewtwo away from being able to, revenge him and all that jazz. So I'm going to catch her up an Eel, and I want to buy a turn, at least one. I really need it. And I'm hoping he doesn't have an out to it, but I know Zeal's lists have really increased the number of switches. They run one for the mirror because of Raikou, and just catching up an Eel and bolt striking other Eels is really nasty in that mirror. And, just a variety of reasons, really. So what's going to happen here is that he's going to play the Switch, which makes me feel gross on the inside. And he's going to be able to X-Ball me and put, 100 damage on me. And I'm going to draw into a Super Rod, which is not a helpful card in this situation. So really frustrated about an end of 5 making me dead draw. But, such things happen, especially with the really weird, wonky, perfect randomizer that PlayTCG.me has, where it's, actually completely random, unlike shuffling. Just worth bringing up. But, I'm sure I'd luck sack, tons of things because of it too. I'm sure I, equally benefit and, am hurt by this, but it is worth noting either way. So, I bench the Registeel just because I don't want to get benched, and I like not losing instantly. And he's going to KO me. And I top deck another Switch. I'm just going to pass because there's no real incentive to do anything. I'm going to actually Ultra Ball away 2 cards, which makes sense. I had basically a repeat of my hand, and just grab out a Terrakion EX simply because I need to increase my probabilities of getting into something that helps. I do resist Psychic as a Metal Pokemon, a Steel Pokemon, but I'm down 4 prizes, so against an Eels deck, which makes my situation look pretty grim. Mewtwo DCE on the bench would just win him the game at this point, if he has a response, even if I hit a Mewtwo, or a DCE for my Mewtwo, which, is kind of circumstantial at this point. So he's going to put 80 damage on my Mewtwo, and I finally hit the Juniper. I just decided to switch and go for it. If I don't hit the DCE, I'm going to lose this turn anyways. So there's the Juniper. I discard my hand of nothing, and I do hit a DC. I actually hit 2, which, is like, great. Now they're in abundance, but that's going to be my turn. I'm going to X-ball and take 2 prizes, so at least I bring it down to 3, which, in a lot of games, 3 is a really close game, and some it's just not. This is an example of it not being a close game. I'm expecting him to easily have KO to respond to this. And at least in the next 2 turns, he might have a catcher. There's so many ways. So he's going to random receiver. And for a second, that catcher that I saw pop up from the random receiver really, kind of was like, ugh. But then I realized it wasn't one. But he is showing off the fact that he has multiple catchers and Mewtwo in his deck still. He hits Bianca, which makes me feel a little bit better because Bianca won't do anything for his hand because he's down to, he has 7 cards in his hand, so he'd have to play more things to play Bianca. So obviously Bianca won't be that effective. He benches his Zekrom, and I'm assuming he's just kind of playing out his hand just to maximize his Bianca draw, which makes sense. But I think the likely thing is that he's going to Power Blast me this turn, and I don't think he has a catcher because he would have just played it. And, even though he had at least 2 in deck. So my expectation is for him to try and Power Blast me, and then I think he has to have energy to Dynamo. He's going to end, though, which, if he's ending for 1 card, I guess I had a decent hand, too. I'm trying to figure out a way in which I could actually kind of bring this game back to my side, but, he's got a turn on me that just isn't going to help. I'm trying to figure out what I should do with this Bouffalant, because I think it's helpful in some way almost, but I'm going to return my hand with an N and get 3 new cards, and I hit a Super Scoop Up, which is just dandy, but I'm going to miss this one, so I'm going to retreat my Mewtwo and go into Terrakion, hoping to buy at least 1 turn, because, this is really my only shot, even though he's got a Zekrom on the bench, and it is, a fairly pointless effort at this point, I do admit, but I don't feel like scooping. There's no time limit in this tournament, and yeah, so he has a catcher, and that'll be game. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it was a little unfortunate. I did dead draw right in the middle, which is, kind of surprising, but things happen. So rate, like, comment, subscribe, do your thing, and I'll catch you guys later.